Hello! Surprise, surprise. You were expecting a Marco and you get a Paolo. This episode was a bit unlucky, and not only Marco had a last-minute issue, good luck Marco for your issue, but also our friend Davide Soliani, the creator of Mario plus Rabbids, had another incident, so he is not with us. So a bit of unlucky, and I will try to put into Marco's shoe and do the best show possible. So we are few, and as somebody said in the past, we few, we happy few. And so this is the last episode of this the hot seat season, and I think we created something really outstanding. It's something different from the usual marketing thing, something more related to the editorial part. Both Marco and I had a past into editorial journalism, and I think that you noticed that in this format that Marco strongly wanted and wants to have, speaking about the general world of the strategy games and not only Slitherine. I think that the hot seat has become in this year a rallying point for everybody interested in war games and in strategy games, not only, as I said, from Slitherine, but also from other creators of games. We had a lot of interesting guests. We discovered a lot of the behind the curtain of this amazing world of the strategy games, and I think that this was made by a passionate team, not only Marco only, that my boss, my friend Marco, that wanted this format, but all the team, like Eugenia, that helped me to find all the guests, Enzo, Michele, and Andrea, the content team, and all the team from Slitherine. So I hope you enjoyed this season, and let's start the last episode of this season of The Hot Seat. And hello again. Let's talk about what happened in the last month. A lot of things happened because we had the June, the hottest month of the year for the video games, the former E3 that maybe somebody of you saw, and now has been replaced by some YouTube events of the Game Fest and other formats like the Xbox Showcase and the PlayStation 1. We have seen not many strategy games as usual because the show are made for a lot of famous games like the one you saw in the Game Fest. However, we had some interesting releases. For example, to fight in two type spaces the shadow drop during the Game Fest, and we had James Parker here talking about this franchise, so now you can find it on Steam. And also we have seen Tabletop Tavern releasing 11th of June. It's a very curious game where you play in a tavern, and if you like some strange kind of strategy games, you should give a look. And also Frostpunk, and actually we also had the creator of Frostpunk at the beginning of the season, launched the DLC Breach of Trust on 23rd of June, so basically yesterday. And again, if you enjoyed that 4X set in an icy, devastated planet, you should give a look to it. Demo, we had the Steam Next Festival with not that many strategy games, but we had the Fertile Creation 2 and Liquidation both for Microprose, so you can try them for free and see if they are for you, if they are games that you can like. And in the top 50 demos, we have seen Dustfront RTS, The Guild, County of Fortune, a city builder, Zero Space, and Corsair Cove. So plenty of games you can try now in the top demos, so in the demos that have been most played from the players. Conferences. We finally saw something more about one of the game I'm expecting more. We knew that a lot of people already asked for holidays for the release of GTA 6. I asked Marco some holidays about at the end of August for Star Wars Zero Company, because this mix of XCOM style and Star Wars is something that I really like to play at home with popcorn and beer to fully enjoy it. And also we will have the releases soon before the end of the year for Chronicle Medieval, again from Electronic Arts, and BioEden from our friends, the Italian friends that did the fantastic 100th Day, the wine simulator. It's a very good game, try. They are working on they are giving the final touches to BioEden for PC and console. It's a game where you are on a lost planet where you have to recover the planet from everything around, because everything has been ruined, and you have to create inside the dome again the vegetation and the civilization. Again, during the Xbox case, we have seen the DLC for Age of Empires 4. It's a franchise fundamentally invulnerable to the time. It's a game that I began to play when I began to work in the industry in the early 90s, and is still a pleasure to play on console and PC. And obviously during the PC gaming show, we had the most small indie games, like, for example, the new definitive edition for Company of Heroes, Planet Zoo 2, Star Trek The Outpost Unknown, and also Stronghold 4, that is another game that we are all waiting for, with the demo published yesterday. So again, you can try and see if it's with your tastes, if the game that you should play. Now we have the usual tabletop corner, and I have to introduce myself, because I did it while speaking about the new games and the news from the tabletop. Hello, welcome back to a new episode of Tabletop Corner. Let's start with some juicy news on our favorite hobby. Praise to the Emperor! The new Warhammer 40,000 11th edition is now available. You can buy the new box Armageddon with the new rule set and the new miniatures for Warhammer 40,000. Inside the box, we will find almost 20 new Marines and more than 35 Orcs that you can field and begin to play immediately. Also, the Space Marine will have a land speeder, while the Orcs will have 2 vehicles of their kind with a lot of wheels and spikes and so on. Also, in the new box, there are the new rules, obviously, for the 11th edition, and a new system of cards to create a new mission every time you play with different objectives. You won't have to kill every unit from the opposite army, but you have to achieve also some interesting objective that gives a new flavor to the missions. Also a very busy time at Battlefront. After releasing the Early War book and the late Italian book that we have spoken of them in the previous episode, now they released a new series of free formation, free divisions that you can use in your games on their community site. These new units have, for example, the German using raided French vehicles in the late war, or the Matilda in the mid-war for the English in the desert, or the unit you can see now with a Recce division used during D-Day. It's a very good thing because these formations are for free, so you can just download and use immediately without spending a penny. Big news from Magic the Gathering and Wizard of the Coast. The card game everybody plays will receive a new set inspired to Marvel superheroes in a couple of days. So we will be able, after Spider-Man that we played in the beginning of the year, now we will be able to play with Avengers and the Fantastic Four, and we already knew that the cards are fantastic. You can see now some of them. Do you remember Mantic Tabletop inspired to Halo Universe from the video games? Mantic just released a news about extending the relationship with the Halo Universe for the next years and many new games. This is a very exciting news for everybody that enjoyed the tabletop miniatures with the Master Chief and all the aliens fighting. The first new release will be very soon. It will be Battle for Zeta with new units including US and S Marines and the grunts that you can see now in the video. Speaking about tabletop inspired by sci-fi video games, we can't avoid to talk about Mass Effect. It's inspired to all the trilogy and specifically Mass Effect 3 and the events of that game. In this game, you have to play co-op with up to 4 players, but you can also play alone. And you have to land on a far planet and get inside a crashed spaceship and get some secret things inside it. Let's see what is inside the box. Here is it. This is the maps. This volume has all the maps of the game that you need. It's divided in missions, and when you play one mission, you just put your miniatures on the table and some counters according to what the mission asks. Each mission can be between half an hour and something more than 1 hour, and it's great because if you play with your friends, it also replicates the mechanic about what you decide to do in your games. In the video games, it was a moral choice, and some of the party will get more with you, and somebody will get far from you because you choose one way or the other. In the board game, you have a mechanic that works about if your decisions are more aggressive or more pacific, and it's very interesting. As you can see in the map, there are some let's say variation from the mission, so it's not that you will play always mission 1, but you have very different kind that will be chosen for what you do into the mission. The game is not that difficult. I would say that is an average board game, probably one of a good way between a true board game and a true tabletop. There are these miniatures for your team that are very, very nice and detailed, and everybody that played video games will instantly recognize the characters, but in the heart it's still a board game that you can play with any kind of players with no problems. I don't know you, but I really like to kill zombies, a lot of zombies. Zombicide is one of the best cooperative games that you can play with your friends. In this case, a true tabletop with a lot of miniatures. We will see there are massive amount of miniatures, and allows you to play games and where you have to fight off the zombies and achieve some mission objectives. Let's see what is inside the box. And here is the game. As you see, there is a lot of miniatures. There are more than 80 zombies, and the miniatures are very detailed. Also, the sculpt is very good. For example, if you see it is a minion, I can understand that you can paint very, very well with the contrast colors we showed an episode or 2 ago. And you have also 12 heroes that you can play with your friends. It's a co-op game where you have to play together, and it's not a game where you have to kill, again, it's not a game where you have to kill all the enemies because zombies are endlessly coming. And your character will have this plastic thing with your character and the weapons. In this case, we have a pistol and a chainsaw to cut to pieces the zombies. The games can be between half an hour, 45 minutes, and a full evening with your friends. And the rules are very easy to learn. It's a true tabletop game with miniatures, but it's not that difficult. There is also an interesting mechanic about the noise. If you begin to shoot with big guns like machine guns and so, you will attract more zombies, so you have to pay attention when you have to open fire and when you have to use different weapons like clubs or chainsaw and so. I really like the mechanic of the game, and there are also some variations set in Western time, in fantasy medieval setting with magic and swords, and also one in sci-fi in space where you have to fight off zombies as aliens, and so you have a game for any need and favor you like. The manual includes all the missions that you can play. There are a lot, more than 20, and they tell you how to put these boards to create the city where you will fight your mission, and so any game is different from another one. Finally, our friends from wargame sent us the new Italian starter packs themed to after the paratroopers, the Folgore. As usual, it's a starter pack that allows you to field an almost ready and full army. It includes 40 paras and a couple of special platoons of heavy weapons, including a mortar, the commander, also a rich vehicle that is the EP.11, that is very good because it can avoid the incoming fire and go away, and a light tank M41. The starter box includes, as we said, more than 40 paratroopers from the Folgore that you can assemble and paint with various camo. The tanks, that is the Recce and the M41, and also the decals with all the signs that you can put it, and the special teams and HQ in resin. There are not dices, so you need the dices to play the game for yours and so. The Italian army, this is the book. It covers all the Italian armies from the start of the war to the end after the armistice, so also when Italy was divided from north to south, and the northern part was allied with Germany and the south with the Allies. The special power, because you know that every bolt action army has a special characteristic to have it unique, is to have ferreo cuore. It means hot iron, and it means that the Italian troops can reroll moral test to advance or to charge, to run. It's really important in the game, something that can change the games. The characteristic of the game, of the Italian army, is they have a lot of different kind of infantry, from green in expert to very elite one like the paratroopers or the bersaglieri. Another special rule is that if you field some green unit, you will roll at the start of the game, and only then you will understand if they are really green in expert, or they can be even fanatic and very good in assaults, for example. Another special, something unique, let's say, of the Italian army is that in the later part, so in the late war, if they are allied with the German, they will access some equipment from the Germans, like the Panzerschreck, for example, and this will help them to fight off tanks that usually the Italians in the mid-time are not that good at. But if you play with co-belligerents, so with the Allies, with the English, British and US Army, you will access a lot of tanks like the Churchill or the Sherman or even the M10 anti-tank that will dramatically change the character of your army, because you will access very extra heavy weapons that usually the Italians don't have. They are very fancy and colorful to paint. This is the desert camo, but you can also fill them with green for the last part of the war in Italy. This is one of the newest armies of the V3, the new edition of Bolt Action, and we will see in the next month coming others like the Commonwealth armies. And with the new Italian army for Bolt Action, it's the end of the episode. Thanks for staying with us, and have a great summer painting a lot of miniatures, and see you in September. Hello, I'm still here. Marco is not returned yet, so you have to endure my soprano accent for a while too. And it's my pleasure to introduce you our very important guest of today, Romain de Waubert, CEO of Amplitude. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for coming. How is it going?
Not too bad.
Are you enjoying the Italian weather?
Yes, well, it's even worse in France, so
okay.
It's better.
So let's start from the basics, because I was very interested. Give me some advice. How did you become a CEO of Amplitude? Maybe I can get a boost for my career.
Well, for me, it was not wanting to be a CEO. So the best thing to become a CEO is like, don't want to become a CEO.
Okay.
There's nothing
something
you
like
would
Matrix
want.
style. Okay.
Yes, exactly. No, you don't want to become a CEO.
And how did you become? Because what were the steps? How did you begin to play video games and be into the games industry?
Well, it's like a lot of people, in our generation, we're just a few players, but not a lot of makers. Mm-hmm. And of course, as a fan, an earlier fan, I wanted to get into the industry, but there was not a lot of jobs, which is kind of the case today as well, which become again difficult. But also a lot of jobs did not even exist yet. And for me, I started with tabletops as well as you as a child, and loved tabletops, but I loved complex rules, and I loved the idea of having a computer to help me to simplify the rules, or at least interaction with the rules. So that's why I wanted to get into making video games and not tabletop games. And yet still keeping in mind that, what I love in the tabletop is you should be able to explain the rules, well, for me at least, in 5 to 10 minutes maximum, or else you see your friends falling asleep.
Yes,
so, but in a way, it should be the same for a video game. If you have to spend days to understand the rules of the game, maybe you did something wrong in the design. So anyway, trying to bring some of that in, and that's it. So I tried to learn programming, but I wanted to be a designer. And the first job interview I did, the CEO of the company told me, well, you're hired, but game designer, it's not a job. So it's just like, okay. So anyway, I started, and it worked out quite well. But then I wanted to tell him, you see, maybe it is a job. It's like, right, you got lucky. So
absolutely. What was the first game that you did in your career?
So that was Battlefield.
Battlefield,
1942.
Okay. That was a fantastic game. I remember it was one of the few multiplayer games I played back in the days, because I am more a single-player game. Yeah. And then you began to create strategy games. What was your first strategy game you did?
So it was with Amplitude was Endless Space.
Okay.
And a long time before that, I tried with before to go to DICE to create my own strategy game with college friends. Didn't lead, very far. So that's why, with Amplitude, with many years of experience after, behind us, yes, it was Endless Space. Endless Space, the thing is, space is empty, so planets, and suns are just a ball in space. Much cheaper, than having to design a whole planet.
So you can save money.
Yes, we did save money in production time at the time. Maybe it's good because we didn't have any, and we tried to to mix the depth of what you can see in 4X games with art, as much as we could. So focusing on the writing, on the universe, on the visuals, on the music, to make sure it would be an experience, not just not rules that make you feel smart.
And speaking of that, I've seen that we all know that any strategy fan knows that in Amplitude there are a lot of endless games, and I think it's some sort of lore, something that connects all your games, some of your games.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's true. Like when we first did Endless Space, we were extremely happy with the lore and the universe we did, and when we asked the players what they thought about it, they said, "Well, I don't know." I'm not saying it, so we were disappointed at that. So that's also why we wanted to expand that with Endless Legend, and of course, there was to continue that universe with Endless Legend, and that's why we thought that okay, we had the Endless, for the first game. Originally, Endless for us with Endless Space was mostly a game system.
Okay.
But with Endless Legend, there was to say, well, actually, it is a lore, and that's the universe of the Endless, and then it became a whole universe. But when you're going to play an Endless game or Endless Amplitude game, you will definitely think about the game system. So it is a lore and a 4X at the same time. There's it's hard to differentiate the two. We did also a few roguelites with the Endless as well, and therefore it was mostly a universe in that sense. But with that idea that you always will feel a bit smart playing these games, it's about tactics, a bit strategy, so although it could be an action game, you always have that part of management, strategy, tactics.
And you still think that all your games or all your successful games can be understood in the famous 10 minutes that you have to teach the rules, or maybe you wish? What is the only game, maybe, or the one game that you didn't manage to achieve this?
I think the thing is, the more you create games at Amplitude, the more players have expectations.
Okay.
So the more we expand on previous games, and the more you expand, the longer it takes to grow up the whole game. But what you should be able to in 5 minutes is to grasp the basics of the game, and then the game should be able to take you by the hand and let you discover all the depth and richness of the game that you will find, for the hours and hours to come.
Actually, when I was a full-time professional journalist about video games, I used to say that somebody that knows the games and has a good experience with titles can understand if a game is good under 1 hour.
Yeah.
Then maybe you have to discover a lot after that. Do you agree with this or not?
I think 1 hour is long for that. For example, I'm not even sure I have the patience.
Okay.
That's why.
So even less.
For me, it should be less. Yes.
Okay.
But sometimes it's not to understand the full depth, but it's to understand that there's a bit of magic in that game. I don't understand everything, but it is intriguing, and I want to know more about it. If it is intriguing, I think you kind of succeeded there. So you understand what you see. A lot of other things are intriguing me. I want to come back. But there are games, where you go in, you don't understand anything, and you don't even get intrigued. You just, swamped, and there are games I had to try like 5 times 1 hour to get into it because a friend told me it's amazing. In the end, it's these games I got crazy about, but it took me so long to get into them because the interface was against me, because what was written about the game wasn't really in line with what was happening in the game. I get confused, but then you realize it's unfinished games, early access games, but it's amazing games.
Also because now we have a lot of games around, much more than maybe 10 years ago. A lot of them are for free or very discounted, so I agree with you. And speaking of strategy games and being in France, how comes? Because we usually think, maybe we are wrong, but we usually think that the best places to create and the place where the people play the most strategy games are UK, US, and Germany. And today you told me that you sell a lot of games in France, and actually there are a lot of developers about strategy games. So how is French for strategy?
I would say it's amazing, but I'm French, so obviously I'm not the right person to ask. But I always believed that. But in a time where the tabletops I was playing were coming from other countries, where the video games, strategy games were not made in France. But I always believed we had everything in France to be great strategy makers. I think today. We can see in the tabletop environments, but the ones you were showing before, Zombicide, it's a French game, and there are a lot of strategy games. The scene is big in France for creators and players, and in a way, the more players you have, the more creators you have, and the more creators you have, the more players you have. So there is a huge environment, and there is also a connection with the video game world. So I think the more we have tabletop players, the better game designers will have at least 4 strategy games on computers. So obviously a lot of my designers at Amplitude also are tabletop players. They have.
No, specifically for the video games, so you think that France is a great
I think we have a huge video game history, and we start to have a really big tabletop scene as well. So there's everything you need basically to have a good environment for that, and this is what we see. You have, of course, Amplitude, but Sure Games, Urgent System, and I'm sure quite a few others I can't mention. But yeah, there's a lot of these strategy games studios that started something there, and of course I'm sure there will be a lot of studios popping out of these existing studios to create other strategy games that we don't know yet. So yes, and I think also we are creating around us, maybe not always people that were ex-employees, but the people who want to do the same that we did in France. And coming from tabletop or coming from Ubisoft or whatever it is.
Well, actually, yes, having big companies like Ubisoft is a good way to create an industry. But I was thinking that you created a great FPS like 1942 and then jump to do strategy games. So it's
Yeah,
in line with that.
and that's it, because you're rarely a fan of one genre. You tend to be fans of quite a few type of games.
Yes.
Always love the multiplayer shooters, but I'm a huge strategy fan first, RPG second. I've been so lucky that I've been able to work on shooters, RPGs, and now strategy games. So I'm the happiest designer or ex-designer and now CEO.
And in France, you created one of the games I loved the most. That was from Arcane Studios, the RPG.
Like we say,
that,
as a producer.
That was very, very good. And let's talk about again about your games. Let's speak about probably what I think is one of your probably the most ambitious game, Humankind.
Yes.
How was the creation and how the game went?
So the Humankind was always the dream we had when we created Amplitude. We didn't have the money, we didn't have the experience even to be able to tackle a game like Humankind. So we had to learn, and that's what we did with first Endless Space, then Endless Legend, going on the planet, learning about to make a 4X on a planet, which is technically more daunting. But yeah, it was huge. It was bigger than we expected. And it's funny because when you start a game like Humankind, you just wonder why nobody else tried before. and then you do it and just like, oh, okay, I understand now why they didn't try. So a few others tried after, and they realized how hard it is to do such a huge 4X game. To be able to cover like 6,000 or 8,000 years of history with so many different cultures and so many different game systems to be able to renew the gameplay over time. When you play 10, 12 hours, you want to always expand the gameplay or renew it because or else you get bored. So it's
what was the biggest difficulty and the biggest achievement with the game? The thing that you see in the game, you say, I'm really honored and happy that you created this part of the game.
So I'm extremely proud of the game we've done, and the thing is, we had something at the heart of it. There were two things at the heart of it that were a bit linked. One, I think, worked well in the end, but we had to really convince. The other one didn't work. So the one that worked was the fact that we wanted to show to have a different take on history. The Civilization is an amazing game, but they show history as a bit kind of static in a way. You're going to be an Egyptian today, and it will be Egyptian until the end of the game. But history doesn't work like that. History is very moving. And people mix and become a new people, and or ideas and people mix and you become another people. So that's history. But Civilization, again, a huge inspiration for us, was created in the 90s after the fall of Soviet Empire, and you had one superpower, and the game was created by an American, with the coming out of the superpower and say, hey, let's make a game, but if you became the superpower, so. And it could only be one, and you impose, your view on the world, whether this is economically, militarily, whatever it is. But in a European point of view, where you did not become that world superpower, you thought, well, we have an amazing history, and in a way, if we look at not today, but the whole history, maybe we won, and that's the idea we had. We wanted all the Mongolians, with the amazing, empire they had, or the Chinese, or whatever. You can always, if you look at the whole history, there's always something amazing, and someone who could tell, well, actually, what I did, nobody else did it. Others, maybe will be, it's a moving part, and maybe will become the one superpower in one day as well. So that's how we wanted to tell it. So there's that idea of it's a moving history, cultures mix, and we all are, or many of us are the results of this kind of mixes that made us who we are. So for us, the French, we're a mix of Celtics and Germans and and English and of course everything Italian. Well, all the neighbors, all the neighbors came and mix and match, in France, and it became France. And I believe this is our strength, and I think if we look in many countries, it is true. Of course, in humankind, you have the opportunity to stay the same one country, like with the Chinese, it's
the game, yeah.
there's so you can stay and it's your choice basically to decide to evolve or change. So one thing that didn't work though is when we did the design, with our players. At first, we tried to do something very historically accurate. The idea that the Celts could become French or something else, but only regional. And the first players were it's boring.
Okay.
I want to have the freedom, the gameplay freedom to choose another country to become. And then it becomes rich. You can mix the strength of the Italians with the strength of the Mayans, yes. and then with the strength of the Australian. So it doesn't make any sense in history, but it's fun. But as it doesn't make any sense in history, a lot of players were dude,
complaining,
just not working. Yeah. I can't picture it. So it's something So we did some improvements in that, but still but still a lot of players had issues with that concept of becoming anything. Mm-hmm. The other one, so maybe two things that didn't work. The other one that didn't work is that idea of we want to be remembered in history. It's not about the ending point. It's about the path. So we wanted to create that idea that you score for the path and not for the ending. But the same, it was very gamey. So that's definitely something that didn't work. We're not very happy with. It's too much of a scoring system. So yeah. So
well, actually,
we'll have better ideas for the next time.
I think you must be proud because actually that feature that you become another civilization. Was let's say copied by very big competitors. So I mean, it means that work
because it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely,
it makes a lot of sense, and in the end, today in humankind, I think it works very well. But it took us basically 4 years of development plus maybe 2 years of live to really make it work, and millions of games to get all the data and all the feedback. So it was a huge learning experience to make it something coherent, understandable by the players. But at the beginning it was a bit tough.
And hearing you speaking about a 4X, a historical 4X with changing civilization, it's like to tell a story, a different story from ours, but a story. And that, let me think, what about, how much is important the narrative part in the strategy games? Because a lot of strategy games, especially the one that are roguelite kind of game, doesn't have any kind of narrative. But I usually prefer the one with a narrative, with something that connects what I'm doing. What do you think about that?
So for me, and I think a lot of us at Amplitude, we believe our 4X games are stronger with a strong narrative. Okay. If you give orders to your people and they're just numbers, you don't care if they die, you don't care what happens to them because they're just numbers. But if you manage to create a whole history around them and suddenly it becomes a people, and there are heroes around, they have they have a lore, they come from somewhere, as a people they want to get to a certain point, and suddenly you start caring as a leader for your people, and you want to save them, and the decisions you will take will be a bit of course, numbers, but it's a bit of narrative as well. It's you feel for them, and suddenly you don't see the game in the same way. It's not numbers, it's people.
Okay. I understand also because my other love together with strategy games are RPG, and I think that the limit between the two genres is the narrative, because the RPG is like a strategy game with a lot of narrative and your personal story. So
and this is also why we want to introduce in Endless Legend 2. You know, it's our latest game. It's still in early access, but the idea is definitely to have, you know, heroes as a central part of these games, because yes, again, you create that bond between you, the leader, and these heroes, and the people.
And another thing that we touched before the live, and that struck me when you told me about Amplitude, is that you told me that a lot of your employees are like partners, so they get a small part of the company. And I was curious how you began to do that and how you're working.
So we bought back our liberty, you know, from Sega, and again they were but I say that, but actually they were
strong point.
No, but they were amazing. They were amazing, and they were very supportive, and they made it a really nice process. But the idea when we did that, you know, I wanted to, you know, it was not about giving shares away. It was about, you know, people investing in the company, and because when you give something free to someone, they don't care about, you know, something free. But if, you know, you have to put your own money in the game, suddenly, in the company, it becomes yours, and you want to make sure you get your money back, basically. So in terms of motivation, you know, it's very different. So that's why I would say to open up, you know, the company shares to employees who wanted to invest in it, but there has to be meaningful investment. So it was really quite a high level of investment for many of them. So not everyone could do it, but we have like 35, I think, employees who invested in the company when we left out of 140. So it's I'm extremely proud and happy of that, and it does create a different bond and link with your employees that are actually your investors now.
Yeah, because they know that their work is going to something they own. Yeah. And you think this is maybe something that helps to avoid that biggest problem we have in the industry, the big layoff that every day basically we know about from other companies?
No, I think it's something different. Sadly, it's strange because, you know, I think we are, you know, getting in a better position today than we were 2 years ago. But at the same time, we haven't seen, you know, the end of the layoffs, right? Okay. So we are still in the midst of that. You know, there's I think it's the word is awful, but you know, but it's still a kind of correction. Okay. There's been so much investment in the industry that there's been too many games being produced and basically too many people working in the industry because of that. So it is a very difficult and sad situation. But at one point, you know, the number of games created will match again the consumption of the players.
Yes, absolutely.
So as soon as, you know, that match.
So you think that in next year we will have fewer games than now?
So I think there's the AI, you know, thing happening there. So maybe we will not see that. But if we talk about quality games, top quality games, we should see less. I'll be very interested in looking at some stats already from this year compared to last year in terms of quality games. So if I don't know how we could check that, maybe ratings, you know, of games, you know, that sold more than 10,000 copies or 50,000 copies on Steam. We could see if, you know, if there's a progression in that sense. But normally you should see less and less, obviously, because there's less investment. Now we'll see more and more games probably be created by a small group of people with a lot of AI creation. And unfortunately, maybe a lot of these games will look a bit alike. So the next challenge will be to exist and be seen in that avalanche of games that will be coming.
Absolutely. Speaking of the future, can you tell something about your future project? I know I don't want to ask for something, under NDA or something, but if you want to tell something about.
Well, we'll make, you know, 4X, you know, that's all I can tell you. No, we're huge fans of what we do. This is why also we wanted to get back our liberty, you know, and be able to you know, to create more and more. ambitious Forex. You know, it's not about to create any Forex. I want to create again a Forex with depth, with with great visuals, great universe buildings. So you'll see hopefully more and more of that from us.
Okay. And I bet it will be a strategy game. I am like, okay, time for our final game. Okay. Now we will ask about, I will give you 2 titles, 2 games that we know that you love, and you have to choose which one to keep and which one to throw downstairs, down the tower. Elden Ring and Distant World. You have to choose one.
It's so unfair.
It's good.
Okay.
This is all merit of Eugenia that yesterday evening managed to...
Okay, I was under scrutiny. Okay. Distant World, I love. So I've finished many games of that one. So I think it is fascinating. I love that universe that lives without me.
Okay. Which one would you prefer between Elden Ring and Distant World? You have to choose.
I think I will, but it's unfair. I will say Elden Ring, but I did not finish it.
Now we are very...
And I will probably finish it, when I'm retired.
Okay, Elden Ring and World of Warcraft. So 2 role-play game, 1 single player, 1 multiplayer.
So World of Warcraft. So it was very dear to me. I played with my wife. She was Kalina, healer, healing me. She doesn't play video games. It's the first and last one. There's just one, just to seduce me.
She doesn't play Amplitude games.
No, she doesn't play any games. So I thought she was a real gamer. It was, wow, she's so cool. She's beautiful and cool. But no, she only played that game to be nice to me, so we could get married. So it is dear. It is dear. So I will tell this one because it is important to us.
Okay, but now even more difficult: World of Warcraft or Dark Souls. Because the original Souls.
So I love all the Souls game. So I did not. I never finished any of the Souls games. I'm too bad. I'm too slow. I'm too slow. I dream that one day I will finish at least Elden Ring. So no, I will say World of Warcraft again.
Okay. Even more Souls-like game. World of Warcraft for Humankind.
Oh, Humankind, of course.
And
it's my dream game.
You think it's easy, Humankind or Endless Legend?
Oh no, no. So they're both dear to me. I think. Oh no, it's like choosing between your 2 children. Mm-hmm. You can't do that, right?
Yeah, you have.
You have children?
I have 2 children, sir.
Which one do you choose?
Endless Legend. Probably they're watching, so I can tell. I love you both.
But one more than the other.
No, it's not true.
I think Endless Legend is very unique in its genre. So I love the universe. I think I will go for Endless Legend, but it really hurts me.
Okay. And now the final fight: Endless Legend or Combat Mission?
Oh, Endless Legend. No, but as I told you, a bit before, it's Combat Mission was an inspiration. It actually was inspiration for the battles of Endless Legend. The battles of Endless Legend, you plan your battles, you pose and then you unpose and then you see the results in real time. So it's definitely something I was inspired by in Combat Mission. I thought was amazing at the time. And I loved, the idea and the concept. It was totally crazy. Tried to play multiplayer with some friends. They thought I was nuts.
The solution is we will join forces and we'll do endless combat missions.
Okay, that works. That's the future. But still, I think Endless Legend is bigger in scope.
Yeah, okay, I understand. Thank you very much. And guys, if you never played games, I'm sure that almost all our audience played all the games, but thank you again. And if you didn't, try Humankind because it's one of the best 4X around.
Thank you.
And here we are. It's time to connect with our friend Kiri. Hello, Kiri.
Hi, Paolo.
Surprised to
Hello.
meet me?
Well, I watched
How
the
is
show,
going?
so no, but I was at the start.
Yeah, okay. It was not a surprise. How is going? Is the weather good
Great.
in Austria? Hot
I
as
love
well
winter,
as in
so
Italy?
no, the weather is horrible. But I have AC at home, so I'm fine. I can survive.
Okay, fantastic. With air conditioning. Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about your preferred game of the month. Which game did you play? Strategy game you played in the last 30 days?
Yeah, so I played a lot of Stone Shard. I'd like to start with that. Stone Shard is still an early access game. It is so incredible, though. So it's been out for several years in development, and it's turn-based, completely turn-based, so not just combat. But you take a step, and then everybody else takes a step. It's set in medieval times. You are a mercenary, and think Battle Brothers, if you know that game. But a dungeon crawler, kind of. So it's an RPG. You run around, you quest, you go into dungeons, and it is so difficult and unforgiving. Like, it is really brutal.
Okay.
But it's also so much fun. And you can play different classes, and there are different weapons to choose from. And somewhat at the start, you get a caravan, and then you can travel faster, and you have more storage there. And it's just so cool. I like it.
And even if it's an early access, do you suggest to the audience to try it out, or do you think it's better to wait when it will be fully released?
Absolutely, because as an early access game, it is so polished. And I think it's been an early access for 6 years now, so a very long time, and there's just so much content in there. It doesn't feel like an early access game. It's still early access because they just want to add more to it,
Okay.
but I've not encountered any bugs. It is a lot of fun. There's so much to do, and yeah, absolutely recommend it. Yeah.
Very well. It's good to see an early access game so satisfying and enjoyable. Which second game?
True. Warhammer 40k Mechanicus 2.
Okay.
That was, I did not play the first one, so for me that was just, oh, it's a new Warhammer game. I'm gonna check this
An
out.
adventure.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I played the tutorial, and the tutorial is a rather long mission actually, where you can pick. Actually, you can't pick. You have to switch between playing the Necrons and then the techno religious
Yeah.
people. I forgot their names
the-
now. But
Dialecticus,
at first,
yes.
you have to switch between those. It's a turn-based game. The battles are really cool. The visuals are great. Animations are fun. So that is nice. What I didn't like so much about this was you can't move between battles. That was just there's a bit of story, and then they just lead you into the next battle. I'm not sure if that changes later, but in the tutorial, that was just, okay, this is what you do. Every now and then, there's an event that pops up, and it doesn't feel like you really have a choice in it. It's just this is the story, continue this way.
But
But
which
the
faction you
combat-
prefer? The evil faction or the other one?
The Necrons,
The Necrons. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
definitely.
And finally,
There's a bit of
the third game?
management in there too, but yeah. Okay, finally, Space Haven.
Okay.
That has been in early access for a long time as well. I don't remember how many years, but somewhat recently, version 1 came out. It's pixel graphics, and it's kind of RimWorld, but in space, I want to say. So it's a colony simulation management game, base building game, but there are two game modes, or at least I remember two now. One of them is you build a spaceship from scratch in space, and then you take it around the universe, fulfilling quests, gathering resources, but also you can play the other mode, and that's the one I played, is you build a space station, basically, on an asteroid, and you can decide what it's going to be. I don't know, is this going to be a refueling station, a trading post, a motel for other space travelers, for example? And there's combat, so you have real-time combat in this as well. And you go asteroid mining, and it's super complex. Very enjoyable.
Thank you very much for your advices, but please stay with us because we have a surprise for all the audience, and let's see together.
Okay.
So,
We're on a team. Hey, bring it here, bring it here.
thank you very much and good night. Good stuff. We are back. We're back.
Welcome everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
So the surprise is that at the end of August, 22nd of July, we will have our next event, unveiling a lot of new games, fantastic, outstanding games. And would you like to come with us?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, we would like to have you as the host of this major event at the end of July, and I can't think nobody else that can do the host for strategy games from Slitherine. So thank you very much. We will see.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon again in Milan.
I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paolo. Good night.
And so this is the end of the last episode of the first season of The Hot Seat. I hope you enjoyed, even if we were a bit unlucky for this episode. And see you soon, because we don't have to wait the end of the summer, because as you just discovered, we will have a major event with all our new and unannounced games on 22nd of July. Note down the day and the time, so you won't miss it. And so let's see very soon.